wanted to come back. My last get-together, or our last get-together, I kind of went in on the pastors and churches and what, in my opinion, was a failure to our community to get the word out, to initiate programs, and really give something back to the community. But and of course, like I said, I wasn't trying to tear anybody down, but I was doing a homeownership seminar this past Saturday, and speaking to the group there, and one lady in the group said that she had been renting a house or renting an apartment, I'm not sure which, for 16 years, had been renting. And what we're talking about, I'm encouraging or attempting to encourage as many people in the African American community to develop a sense of urgency as concerning home ownership. Now's the time to get serious about getting yourself into a home. All right. Well, we were talking and she said that, and when it was my turn to speak, I stood and I said, well, one thing that we have to understand is you have to determine or decide why you want to be in a house. All right. We understand that you want to be in a house, but why? And maybe that why will give you enough impetus or push to go on and, push the button and make the thing happen for yourself. So as she stumbled and fumbled, I told her that my reason, or one of my reasons for why, is that because I'm 50 years old now, as long as I can remember, my mother has been wanting to be in a house, or has been saying that she wanted to own her own home. So I grew up with that. And I grew up with a desire to see my mother in a house, but for whatever reason, she never, stepped out there and got herself into a house. She's still in California, renting. 50 years later, could have bought a house, many times over. But one of the reasons why I immediately got myself into a house was because that's something that was in my subconscious. I'm thinking for all of those years, house, house, house. So that was my reason why, more or less, because I wanted to see my mother in a house. My natural inclination was to get in a house. Nareb, which is the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, the black organization, they have an initiative, something that they do every year. It's what they call Nareb's Building Black Wealth Tour. And home ownership, like I say, is an absolute pillar in the generational wealth building house that we all need, house, so to speak, that we all need to be working on. Well, Nareb is promoting and actually sent me an email that says that Nareb reaches out to 2 million mortgage-ready black families with a message of building black wealth and highlighting the value of a realtist. Or you can think of a realtor. The realtists are what they call themselves in Nareb. But the point I want to make is that they're doing a 100-city national tour. And they're encouraging, it says, over 200 million black families are mortgage ready. And they're getting the message out far and wide. They're visiting 100 cities this year. They did 100 cities last year to encourage people to look into, develop a sense of urgency as concerning home ownership. Two things I wanted to leave you with, and I'm going to go on about my way. One, I'm sure many of you have heard about the recent lawsuit where the National Association of Realtors was sued and decided to settle the claims that, and I don't know the particular details, but I do understand that it had something to do with the commission that the sellers were asked to pay to get their house sold. Well, from what I understand, they've kind of looked at some of the standard operating procedures of the realtors, the agents, and where the sellers were generally paying their agent's commission, as well as, and I'm going to say as well as the buyers, but from what I understand, the sellers were paying their agent's commission, and the seller's agent or the listing agent was actually splitting their commission. So if the commission that the seller agreed to pay their agent was 6%, or to pay the realtor 6% to help get their house sold, the agent who was working for the seller would actually split that 6%, or whatever the percentage was. If it was 6%, 5%, 4%, whatever, they were splitting that commission and giving half or a percentage to the buyer's agent. And the buyer's agent generally brings buyers to the house to show them around, and of course the buyer's agent is driving them all around town to try to find a house that suits their needs. Well, the seller's agents generally, put a sign out front and are more or less just sitting back waiting or hoping that the buyer's agent will come by, show their house, the buyer will like the house, and there'll be a connection. So the seller's agent, like I say, generally would split their commission. And like I say, I'm not a realtor, so I don't know the finer details, but I think that's generally the way it works. Well, now it's being considered or promoted that because of the lawsuit, because of the settlement, that now the buyers may have to pay their own realtors, for the work that they do. And it won't be the seller's agent splitting their commission anymore, but the buyers will actually have to pay. And I'm going to get some people on this show, on this channel, who are realtors, who can kind of break it down much better than I did. But I think I generally have it right, but they're going to break it down better without all the stuttering and whatnot. And I want to get a clear understanding, because I want to continue to promote homeownership in the black community. And it, in my mind, is potentially a stumbling block, because a lot of people don't have, a couple extra $1,000s to not only come up with the down payment for a home, but then to pay an agent to do all of the work that agents do, riding people around, doing the research on the house that the buyers say that they're looking for, and the other things that realtors do behind the scenes. So I'm going to have somebody on to kind of break that down to us. But another person I'm going to have on, a friend of mine who's actually a builder, he's said for years that realtors were unnecessary. And I never really got into a conversation with him about it. You just have these people that are antagonistic and, have a bunch of, contrary views. And I don't, waste my time with a lot of arguing back and forth, what they call spitboxing. But I want to get him on to kind of go deeper into why he believes that realtors are unnecessary, just to kind of give us an alternate view. I believe they're very necessary. I believe that most people don't have the sophistication to go out and do the research that it takes to find a home, out of the thousands of homes in your city that would fit your criteria, to go out and do the research. But then to negotiate the contract to make sure that you're getting a fair deal, that all the inspections are done properly, that all the preliminary things are done so that you don't get a lemon of a house. And then once you get it, you got all this buyer's remorse because the basement is leaking, the HVAC conks out, the roof needs repair, and you didn't know enough to tell the seller, hey, I'll buy the house the way it is with all of these imperfections, but I need for you to give me some sort of concession or some sort of money so that I can get these things repaired. So I'm going to have him on and kind of get an idea of what the heck that guy's talking about. I just wanted to come on and talk and encourage. Another thing I wanted to mention, this is really what I came on for. I talked about the pastors and how I felt that they weren't doing, all that they could. Some are, most aren't. But also, those of us who are college educated and who have gone and seen, higher education, quote unquote, a lot of us are failing to come back I saw Harriet Tubman, the movie, recently, and she was such a dynamic person, definitely a godsend. But she not only was brave enough to break away herself, but she was brave enough to come back and help to take those who may not have had the bravery to go themselves. And a lot of us who have gone on to college, have gone on to higher education, who have gone on to, into business for ourselves, who are homeowners, business owners, have a higher education or knowledge as concerning things, I'm going to put the challenge out to you to go back into your community, and just like Harriet Tubman went back into the South to rescue those who were still there, still, shackled, who were still in bondage, we need to go back into our communities and bring the knowledge that we've acquired in the way the world works, business works, money works, whatever works, not always trying to sell a program. I got so fed up with all these internet gurus, not so much always trying to sell. And there's some things, that are on a level that it's worth selling. I understand you worked hard to put together programs, but there are some things that you can bring back to our community and give away for free. Some things you can give away for free. It's not going to hurt you at all. So I just encourage those of you who have a higher understanding that's concerning things to come back into the community and rescue those who were left behind, who had to continue to work to keep the family together, continue to work so that we would have shoulders to stand on so that we could reach those higher levels. So just as a word of encouragement, go back and don't forget those who were left behind, but go back into our communities and take that higher education, take that knowledge, and begin to rescue those who are in need of rescue. We need to develop a sense of urgency concerning homeownership, and I'm going to continue to encourage you concerning it. I appreciate your attention.